Hey, welcome back to our 3D Code Academy with the KBFX. Now your mesh has been cleaned after topology, but without UVs, textures will never work correctly. In this lesson, you'll learn what UV mapping and UV unwrapping really are, why they matter, and how they prepare your model for proper texturing. Let's break it down simple, clear, and beginner-friendly. So what is UV mapping and unwrapping? UV mapping is how 3D model is connected to 2D texture. It tells the texture where to appear on the model, while UV unwrapping is the process of flattening the 3D model into 2D so that texture can be applied correctly. So, unwrapping creates UVs. UVs map use them to place the textures properly. So, let's dive in. So, let's open the Blender. This is where we ended lastly. So let's go to the UV mapping and unwrapping. We go to UV editing and let's see our mesh. If you see a texture already unwrapped in the UV editor, that means your model already have UVs. So in that case, you don't need to unwrap again. You can either check the UVs quality or clear the UVs and start afresh if needed. For this lesson, we'll start from the scratch so everyone can clearly understand the full UVs unwrapping process step by step. So let's do it. You need to cut your mesh to be represented in a 2D space. I want to cut down the areas where the eyes to create seams. The area that you cut is called seams. So in order to cut those areas, I will select this. I press Alt and select the ring, the loops. So I need to select another one for the symmetry. So I press Shift and select this one too. And I say mark the seam. So we mark this in the area where we want to cut off. And I'll come and I will unwrap for this mouse. You can see that's in the 2D. Whenever you're doing this, will be represented in another screen here. So this side, right side is a 3D, and this side is a 2D representation of UV. So that you see that we have UV, U, direction of U and V, and here we have X, Y, Z. That's the meaning of it, U and V. So let's unwrap this. I right click with my mouse by selecting max seams, or you can go to the UV and find for the max seams. So we define the area that we are going to cut off. I'll come here again and I'll rotate. I want to cut down the area of ears. So I'll Alt select this. You see I select this one and I can press Shift and select the front one there, and I can mark seams. So I mark this area there, the area. So you see I already once created that. They have a memory of that. So you can see that's where we cut it off. I can select also this area here for this ear there. And this one can define this. And I can mark that seam. You see that? And I want to separate again with this area here. I press Shift. I press Alt for selection of this loop to this area over there. Here. Sorry. And I want to select this. To this. I want to unselect this area of the ear. I'll select this, Shift by adding the loop there. I want to select on this and I want to mark C. I want to cut off this area down there. So I mark the seam there and I want to cut from this area. You can see better. to this. So I'll press Ctrl to this, the shortcut. When you press Ctrl to the last, you select it with the shortest distance. So I'll mark this. Okay, after mark this, the place that we want to cut, you can select all this way, this mesh. And I'll come here to UV and say UV Unwrapping. There are 3 types of unwrapping, but before the Blender 4.3, there was only one unwrapping, but now we have 3 types of unwrapping. Let's use the unwrapping medium scratch. You see, that was what we created. So you can see that in 2D. This is our face. So when I press L, I can select the own face. You can see that is a representation of what the unwrapping is. And you can see this, the back side. When I press L, I select this in a 2D. You can see the area that we cut it. This one. You see? Maybe I don't like that, the way we cut there. Maybe I can unselect this and clear this. I can select this and the shortest way we press Ctrl. And I can select this. Okay, we can clear the seam. So we clear the seams. Instead of that, I want to use this one. Press Shift, Ctrl, Shift. I want to use this, cut this to this line. Press Ctrl to this, and the Shift add this one. I want to cut to this, so I can mark this as the seam. Okay. I can update you by select all and unwrapping again, and you can see that to the 2D screen there. You see, this is what we created. So I can select this by press L. You can see this is the lower down of the head. Okay. Okay. So let's arrange nicely. So to see that's the proportion of those unwrapping, you can change this to back to the object mode, and I can go to the material. We are going to the shady one, so you can change this to the shady. There's no problem. Okay, you can see this. I want to create the texture and to see how it's wrapped to our models. So I press Shift A and add a texture there, and I call the image texture, and I can create a new one there, and let's call that UV check. So in the blank, I can select UV grid. This is a tool from Blender Studio so that you can see through, and I will connect this to this one. You can see this, how our UV reacted. You can see that we have a type of stretch there down, so we are going there to fix this. So after doing that, I can come there to VUV editor, you see, and I can come here. Let's go to the material and see our material. So you can see that this is the area that we selected. So if we see there is a stretch of, maybe I can rotate this by arrow. You can see that whenever I rotate this, it's selecting good. Maybe I can scale. You can see. Maybe I'll rotate this. Sorry, I can rotate this to this, like this, and align in a 2D plan. And maybe we can go this and unwrap this along angle based. We try to see this. It's not good enough. You can go and try to this comfort and see the results. If it's comfortable for you, no. I think the UV minimum scratch is okay. but I can scale down. I can scale to this. I think that's good enough. I can press G and I can rotate to be inside the islands. So I can scale down there. Okay, I'll select L by selection of this separation, mesh L, and I can press G and I can move. Or I can rotate this to 90 degrees. Just try to look how it is supposed to you. Okay, maybe better. Maybe I can just curl a bit there. There is some stretching there, but not bad enough. Scroll this, the texture is not so much details in the. Okay, that's fine. So this is a way of unwrapping. Okay, let's go back to our object mode there. And you can change this to the layout. And you can see this. Okay, you can go to the shading and you can remove that your texture. And you can choose your type of texture. Change this to grid, from grid to the blank. And you can select color or texture you want to texture it. Okay, and that's good for that. So let's go to the layout. You can see our texture. That's enough for the UV texturing. So you can go back there and make sure that you save your image. You can save this as a UV Unwrap. Now that you understand the UV unwrapping, in the next tutorial I will teach you how to transfer all the lost details from the high poly mesh, the one that we had dismitted, back onto the low poly mesh. This process is called map baking. We'll learn how to bake normal maps, ambient and occlusion, and other essential texture maps. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, so our lesson we can reach for more 3D artists around the world. Until next time, this is 3D Code Academy. See you in the next lesson. Ciao.